Few relationships inside the British royal family have been as complicated or as controversial as that between Sarah Ferguson and Queen Elizabeth II. For years, the former Duchess of York publicly described the late monarch as a guiding force in her life. She once said the Queen was more of a mother to me than my own. Yet today, fresh scrutiny of Ferguson's past actions has prompted some royal commentators to argue that the Queen's personal kindness was ultimately betrayed. Subscribe for clear, factual royal updates as we examine how a once-welcomed royal bride became one of the most controversial figures connected to the modern monarchy. To understand the significance of the current debate, it is necessary to return to the beginning. When Sarah Ferguson married Prince Andrew in 1986, she entered the royal family at a moment of enormous public interest. Andrew had recently returned from service in the Falklands War, where he flew helicopter missions for the Royal Navy. His military role had made him one of the most admired members of the royal family at the time. The wedding at Westminster Abbey was widely celebrated. Ferguson herself was initially seen as a refreshing new presence within royal life. Her energy and informal manner stood in contrast to the formality traditionally associated with the monarchy. For a time, the public response was enthusiastic. The Duke and Duchess of York appeared to represent a younger, modern image of the royal family. But the optimism did not last. Within a few years, controversies surrounding Ferguson began to overshadow her role within the institution. The most damaging early scandal emerged in 1992, a year Queen Elizabeth would later describe as her annus horribilis, or horrible year. During that already difficult period for the monarchy, photographs were published showing Ferguson in a compromising situation with American businessman John Bryan. Bryan had been described as her financial advisor. The photographs showed the Duchess in a highly personal setting while holidaying abroad. They were widely reproduced in newspapers across the world and quickly became an international embarrassment for the royal family. For a monarchy built on dignity, discretion, and restraint, the incident was deeply damaging. It also placed the Queen in an uncomfortable position. Despite the public humiliation the photographs caused, Elizabeth II did not immediately sever ties with her daughter-in-law. 4 years later, in 1996, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson formally divorced. The separation brought an official end to her role as a working royal, and she lost the style of Her Royal Highness. Yet even after the divorce, the Queen maintained a degree of personal generosity toward her. Reports at the time indicated that Ferguson received a financial settlement estimated at around £3 million. The arrangement included provisions to support the upbringing and future education of her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. More importantly, the Queen appeared reluctant to completely cut Ferguson out of the wider royal circle. Royal observers frequently noted that Elizabeth II disliked family confrontation. In Ferguson's case, that instinct seemed to translate into repeated opportunities to rebuild her public standing. But the controversies did not end. In 2010, another scandal erupted that once again placed the Duchess of York at the center of damaging headlines. A newspaper sting operation secretly recorded Ferguson offering access to Prince Andrew in exchange for a payment of £500,000. During the meeting, she accepted $40,000 in cash. The recording quickly became known as the Fake Sheikh scandal and sparked immediate criticism. Ferguson apologized publicly and described the incident as a serious lapse in judgment. Yet the event reinforced a pattern that had already begun to define her public image. Moments of recovery followed by renewed controversy. More recently, attention has shifted toward Ferguson's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein. Newly released documents have revealed a series of email exchanges between the two that have drawn significant scrutiny. In one message, Ferguson referred to Epstein as a spectacular and special friend. In another, she thanked him for his support during a period when she faced serious financial difficulties. According to the documents, Epstein paid approximately $60,000 to settle debts she owed to a former assistant. The correspondence also showed Ferguson inviting Epstein to social gatherings connected to the royal family. One message included an invitation to celebrate Prince Andrew's 50th birthday. Critics argue that these exchanges contradict the position Ferguson later presented publicly. In later interviews, she strongly condemned Epstein and stated that she had cut off contact once she understood the seriousness of the allegations against him. However, the newly examined communications suggest their association continued longer than previously understood. For royal commentators, the significance of these revelations extends beyond Ferguson herself. They raise questions about the trust once placed in her by Queen Elizabeth II. According to royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, the late monarch showed Ferguson remarkable patience across decades of controversy. In his assessment, that generosity now appears increasingly difficult to reconcile with the actions that followed. The situation also connects directly to the broader difficulties surrounding Prince Andrew. His own association with Epstein triggered one of the most serious reputational crises the modern monarchy has faced. As public pressure intensified, the Duke of York withdrew from official duties and stepped back from public life. The consequences of that scandal continue to shape public perceptions of the royal family today. For Ferguson, the repercussions have also been substantial. Several charitable organizations once associated with her have distanced themselves. Reports indicate that some initiatives connected to her work have struggled to continue amid the ongoing controversy. Yet despite these setbacks, the former Duchess of York has repeatedly demonstrated an ability to reappear within royal circles. One notable example occurred in 2023 when King Charles III invited her to attend the royal family's Christmas gathering at Sandringham. For many observers, the invitation illustrated how Ferguson has occasionally managed to regain acceptance despite earlier controversies. It also highlighted the complex personal relationships that exist behind the public structure of the monarchy. At the same time, Ferguson's own public remarks have sometimes intensified the discussion surrounding her connection to the late Queen. In a speech delivered in London, she claimed that Queen Elizabeth II still communicates with her through the monarch's beloved corgis. After the Queen's death in 2022, the dogs Muke and Sandy were adopted by Ferguson and Prince Andrew. Ferguson explained that when the dogs bark energetically in the morning, she sometimes feels as though the late Queen is reminding her that she remains present. The unusual comment drew considerable attention and added yet another unexpected dimension to an already complex relationship. Meanwhile, the continuing release of documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein has ensured that the issue remains firmly in the public eye. Millions of files are being examined, and analysts believe additional information may still emerge concerning individuals who interacted with him over the years. For the British monarchy, the episode serves as a powerful reminder of how personal associations can carry long-term consequences for public trust. Queen Elizabeth II spent 70 years on the throne, cultivating a reputation for stability, discipline, and unwavering commitment to duty. Her reign became a symbol of continuity for the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. Any suggestion that her personal generosity may have been taken advantage of inevitably provokes strong reaction. Sarah Ferguson's story illustrates the complicated intersection between private relationships and public responsibility within the royal family. From a widely celebrated royal wedding to decades of controversy, reconciliation, and renewed scrutiny, her journey has unfolded almost entirely in the public eye. Now, as newly released documents bring fresh attention to past decisions, the debate surrounding her legacy has intensified once again. What remains beyond dispute is that Queen Elizabeth II showed Ferguson a level of patience and kindness that surprised many observers. Whether that loyalty will ultimately be remembered as admirable compassion or misplaced trust remains an open question. But one point is clear. In a monarchy built upon duty, reputation, and public confidence, the actions of those connected to the crown can echo far beyond the moment in which they occur. And as more details continue to emerge, the story of Sarah Ferguson and her relationship with the late Queen is likely to remain a subject of discussion for years to come. Subscribe for more clear and factual coverage of the royal family and the events shaping the future of the British monarchy.